I asked my boss not to tell. And he asked the same thing. The first time it happened, it was a mistake, or at least, that's what we told ourselves. A late night at the office, a bottle of wine someone had left behind after a client's celebration, and two people who should have known better. I was only supposed to drop off the final files on his desk. He was supposed to already be gone. But there he was, still in his crisp white shirt, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up as he stared at spreadsheets on his laptop. Still here? I teased, leaning against the doorframe. He looked up, running a hand through his dark hair, exhaustion making him look even more irresistible. Deadlines don't wait, Emma. You of all people know that. I laughed softly and walked in, placing the folder on his desk. The office was quiet at this hour, the hum of the city far below us, the glow of the skyline painting his corner office in gold and silver. He leaned back in his chair, stretching, and I tried not to stare at the way his shirt pulled across his chest. You want a drink? He asked suddenly, holding up the bottle of red wine. It's been a hell of a day. I hesitated. He was my boss. The one man in the building I should have kept my distance from. But the way his eyes lingered on mine, the way his lips curved into that knowing smile, it felt less like an offer and more like a dare. One glass, I said. One turned into two. Two turned into us sitting on the couch in the corner, laughing about office politics, whispering confessions we'd never said out loud. The tension between us, the kind we'd been ignoring for months, finally snapped. His hand brushed mine. My breath caught. And when he leaned in, I didn't stop him. Our lips met in a kiss that was all heat and hunger, the kind of kiss you don't plan, the kind that changes everything. When we finally pulled away, breathless, reality crashed back. We can't, I whispered. This is wrong. I know, he said, his thumb brushing my cheek. But tell me you don't want it as badly as I do. I couldn't. That night we crossed a line, and once it was crossed, there was no going back. The next morning, we swore it would never happen again. We both knew the risks. If anyone in the office found out, it would destroy both of us. But avoiding each other only made it worse. Every meeting was charged with tension. Every glance across the boardroom was electric. And then came the night of the business trip. A 2-day conference in Chicago. One hotel. One mistake waiting to happen. We lasted exactly 4 hours before he knocked on my door. Say no, he whispered, standing in the dim hallway, eyes burning with restraint. Tell me to leave. I didn't. I pulled him inside, and the door slammed shut behind us. What we had wasn't gentle. It was raw, desperate, forbidden. His hands were everywhere, mine just as reckless, months of unspoken desire crashing out of us in one night that neither of us could ever admit to. Afterward, lying tangled in sheets, he kissed my forehead and whispered, "No one can ever know." I wasn't going to tell anyone, I said, smiling faintly. His expression softened, almost relieved. Good. Because I wasn't either. That became our unspoken promise. I asked my boss not to tell. He asked me the same thing. And so our secret affair began. It wasn't easy. Every touch had to be hidden. Every glance disguised as professional. In the office, we were boss and employee, strict, distant, untouchable. But behind closed doors, we were fire and hunger and need. Sometimes it felt like torture. Passing him in the hallway, pretending we hadn't been tangled in each other's arms just hours before. Sitting across from him in meetings, watching his jaw tighten as I presented my ideas, knowing that later that night his mouth would be on my skin. But the danger only made it more intoxicating. Every stolen moment, every risk, every whispered promise in dark corners made it impossible to stop. Until the night it all nearly fell apart. We'd stayed late again, working on a client proposal. The office was empty, the city quiet outside. He kissed me against the window, hands roaming, my blouse half undone, when suddenly, the elevator dinged. We barely had time to pull apart before the door opened and his assistant stepped out. She froze, suspicion flickering across her face as she saw us standing too close, breathing too fast. "Everything, okay?" she asked carefully. Fine, he said smoothly, adjusting his tie. Emma was just leaving. I grabbed my bag and hurried out, heart pounding. That was too close. One more slip, and everything would come crashing down. Later that night, he showed up at my apartment, his face pale, his voice shaking. We have to stop, he said. This is too dangerous. But when I touched his hand, he pulled me into him like he couldn't breathe without me. Our lips met again, harder, fiercer, and I knew stopping wasn't an option. Not anymore. The affair went on for months. Hidden meetings. Hotel rooms. Lies told to friends and co-workers. And with every kiss, every touch, every secret, I fell deeper. But secrets never stay hidden forever. One morning, gossip spread through the office. Someone had seen us together outside work. Whispers turned into rumors. I felt the walls closing in, the weight of exposure pressing down. In his office, I broke. Maybe we should end it before it destroys us, I whispered, tears burning in my eyes. He stared at me, silent for a long time, before finally shaking his head. No. I'm done hiding. My heart stopped. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you, Emma, he said, his voice steady. I don't care if the whole office finds out. I don't care what anyone thinks. You're worth the risk. Tears spilled over as I whispered, I love you too. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Whispers turned into confrontations. HR raised eyebrows. But he stood by me every step of the way. And slowly, the storm passed. People moved on. The scandal faded. Months later, as we walked hand in hand through the city, no longer hiding, no longer afraid, he leaned down and kissed me softly. You know, he murmured, smiling, this all started with a secret. I laughed against his lips. And now it's the only thing I never want to hide again. Because sometimes the most dangerous secrets become the most beautiful truths.